$1.50 corsages and small boxes of chocolate-covered cherries we gave to our dates at their front door. The flush in a girl's face when you kissed her cheek. The shared conviction that spring was forever and none of us would ever die. But illusion is illusion, and the millions of bison and passenger pigeons slaughtered on the plains and the whale bones that still wash ashore on the New England coast are testimony to our anthropogenic relationship with the earth. And for that reason, I have written this account of the events to which I was witness in the year 1962, in the days just before the Cuban Missile Crisis. These events fill me with sorrow and give me no peace. They also make me question my sanity. But they occurred, and others can reckon with them or not. I said Goodman Brown found his way into this story. That's not quite accurate. I believe the human story is collective, that we write it together, but only a few are willing to recognize their participation in it. T.E. Lawrence described the aftermath of the Turks at work in an Arabian village. I have never forgotten the images, and I have never forgiven him for implanting them in my memory. At the conclusion of this story, I hope I have not done that to you. Chapter 1. Many years ago, knocking around the American West was quite a gig. Think of running alongside a boxcar, your heart bursting in your chest, slinging your duffel and your guitar inside and jumping in after them, and then 2 hours later descending the Grand Divide, your head dizzy from the thin air, grizzly bears loping alongside the grain cars. The side door Pullman didn't cost a cent, and what a show it was. An orange moon above a Kansas wheat field, the iridescent spray of wheel lines, the roar of a stream at the bottom of a canyon, the squeak of an irrigation valve at sunset, the cold smell of water seeping through a walnut orchard at evening tide. Colorado had strange laws back then. Hitchhiking or hopping a freight could cost you 6 months in the can or on the hard road. The consequence was that bums and migrants riding a hotshot into Denver could get into the state but not out. So Larimer Street was overflowing with panhandlers and derelicts pissing and sleeping in alleyways and under the bridges on the Platte. In the spring of '62, I swung off a flat-wheeler at the Denver city limits and slept 2 nights in the Sally, then took a Greyhound bus down to Trinidad and hired on with a big dairy and produce farm that provided cabins and community showers and a dining hall for the workers. The owner was Mr. Jude Lowry. Know why migrants are migrants? There's no yesterday and no tomorrow. Anonymity is a given. Migrants come with the dust and go with the wind. Mortality disappears with a cold bottle of beer and a juke joint. I had non-alcoholic blackouts back then, and because of the life I had chosen, I didn't mind. In fact, the migrant way of life seemed created especially for people like me. Late in August, Mr. Lowry put me in charge of the flatbed and the trailer it towed and told me to round up Spud Caudle and Cotton Williams and start hauling our last crop of tomatoes down to the packing house in Trinidad, which would take us 3 trips. The air was heavy with the odor of insecticide and the harrows busting up the soil and the scattered chunks of ruined melons that looked like red emeralds in the sunlight. But there was another phenomenon at work also. A purple haze in the lee of the mountains, one that smelled of the desert and the end of the season, as though the land wanted to reclaim itself and drive us from its midst. I fired up the flatbed, and with Spud in the passenger seat and Cotton behind the cab, headed down a dirt road for the highway, the knob on the floor shift jiggling in my palm. Spud's face was as coarse as a lampshade and pocked with ringworm scars, his head shaped like an Idaho potato. He always wore a wilted fedora low on his brow and cut his own hair to save money for brothels. He had been on his own since he was 11 years old. 1 mile down the road, he